Minutes past 7, you are listening to Sabahul Muslim on Radio Islam International. This week and last, we were talking about the benefits of ibadah and worship and the rationale behind it and trying to understand it against the objections made by those who deny the existence of a greater being and who scorn and who kind of frown upon the whole concept of ibadah and worship. So the interactive question that we have for this morning is that as we wrap up our discussions on the importance and the benefit of ibadah and worship of Allah, there are many forms of ibadah. You've got salah, you've got dhikr, you've got recitation of the Quran, you've got charity, etc. Which form of ibadah are you attracted to the most, and why? Which form of ibadah do you enjoy the most? Now, the one thing I wanted to mention, and it's almost a kind of summation of what we've been discussing for the last 2 weeks, is that we have to understand Allah loves us more than anyone else loves us. Allah cares for us more than anyone else cares for us. Allah wishes the best for us more than anyone else wishes good for us. Allah loves us more than our parents. Allah's love is greater than that of a mother. Allah loves us more than we love ourselves. Allah is more desirous to see us succeed and prosper and be happy and be content than we have that desire ourselves. Allah has no need. Allah has mercy. Allah has compassion. Allah has benevolence. And those attributes of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala make us the beneficiaries of Allah's love and Allah's compassion. The relationship with Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is not a singular one from our side, where we worship and we get nothing in return. Not only that, it's not even a reciprocal one where we get exactly what is due to us. Because if Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala had to treat us on the principle of reciprocity, many of us, if not most of us, would have been in great difficulty. We know how weak our sincerity is, how weak our intentions are, how weak our efforts are. Even when we do good, even when we worship Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, there's so many holes, so to speak. There's so many weaknesses. There's so many deficiencies. So what we need to understand is that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala does not want to see us fail. Worshipping Allah is for our benefit, not because there's a need on Allah's side. Allah doesn't treat us on a reciprocal basis. Allah actually gives us much more than what we deserve. We know the Hadith Qudsi. You come to me walking, I come to you running. You take a small step towards me, I take a big step towards you. You make a little bit of effort, I reward you in great abundance. Inna Allaha ma'al muhsinin. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is with those who do good. Allah says, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. You make an effort in the path of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, then Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala says, I will open up the doors of hidayat and guidance for you. If you make that effort in my path, I'll open up the doors of hidayat and guidance for you. So that's something that we should understand and something that we should be cognizant of. That Allah wants us to succeed, and Allah has put in place for us all the guidelines for us to succeed, and Allah grants us tawfiq, and Allah forgives us, and Allah blesses us, and Allah pulls us back onto the straight path. Now what is required from us is to relish the ibadah and the worship of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. We should always make dua to Allah that Allah must grant us enthusiasm for ibadah. Allah must grant us the sweetness of ibadah, halawat al-iman, the sweetness of faith, ladhat al-iman. The enjoyment of iman, the enjoyment of ibadah and worship. Now, if you feel you're not getting that enjoyment, maybe that's a test from Allah. You shouldn't give up. You'll still get the reward. You'll still get the benefit. It's like a person who's not enjoying the food, but he still has to eat in order to be able to survive physically. So you still have to worship Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala in order to survive spiritually. But the more you improve your intention, and the more you improve the quality of your a'mal and your actions, your ibadah and your worship, and the more you are able to take initiative and build on your relationship with Allah, then the greater the chances of that enjoyment and that halawa, that sweetness comes. And once you enjoy the sweetness of obedience and the sweetness of ibadah and worship of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, there's nothing that can supersede it in terms of enjoyment. Not the pleasures of the flesh, not the pleasures of the tongue in terms of, or the palate in terms of food, not any material gain or fame. All of that pales into insignificance when it comes to the pleasure That's why Sahaba, the arrow would strike them and they wouldn't break their salah. That's why you see the pious, the worst of conditions and weather and all of that, they still remain in their routine of ibadah and worship. When they go in sajda, they don't want to come up. Such is the enjoyment. When they're making dua to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, they don't want to stop. Such is the enjoyment. So may Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala make us amongst those who understand the true nature of ibadah and worship and who exert ourselves and who are blessed with acceptance and who are blessed with great reward and maximum reward and the sweetness of iman. Right. So what is the form of ibadah that you are attracted to the most and why? Just gone 7:15, coming up in a bit, our hadith for the morning on the theme of Jumu'ah. Then we talk about US airstrike killing Al-Shabaab militants in Somalia. After 7:30, words with Mulana Wajah, tafsir of Surah Banu Israel. We're talking about moderation in spending and how you make an effort, but at the same time, you link everything to Allah being the sustainer and provider. James Dorsey with the Middle East report just before 8. After 8, Angelo Frick with the Asri report. And then we've got our final discussion on ibadah and worship and its benefits. We also, towards the end of the program, will be speaking to Munira Garda, a digital marketer, about digital marketing in today's times. So that's what you can look forward to this hour and the next on Sabahul Muslim.
Hadith discussions on Sabahul Muslim with Maulana Sulaimaan Ravat.
Last week we spoke about the Sunnah Qira'ah. You know, what is Sunnah to be recited in the Jumu'ah Salah. And we discussed two hadith, the one that told us that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam most of the time would recite Sabbih Hisman and Ataka in the Jumu'ah Salah. And in the Eid Salah. And if Eid was on Friday, he would read Sabbih Hisman and Ataka in the Eid Salah in the morning and again in the Jumu'ah Salah in the afternoon. But there were also occasions when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam read the longer surahs, Surah Jumu'ah from the 28 juz, and the surah immediately after that, Surah Munafiqun. And we discussed the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu an, where he did that when he was left in charge of Medina, and people told him we saw the same from Ali radiyallahu an when he was in Kufa. And Abu Hurairah radiyallahu an said, this is because Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did this. But the more regular practice was Sabbih Hisma and Al-Ataka. That's in the Jumu'ah Salah. Now there is a Sunnah Qira'ah and a Sunnah recitation for the Fajr Salah on Jumu'ah. And Abi Hurairah radiyallahu anhu أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يقرأ في الصبح يوم الجمعة ألف لام ميم تنزيل في الركعة الأولى وفي الثانية هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا. Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu narrates that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to recite Surah Alif Lam Mim As-Sajda in the first rakat and Surah Dahr in the second rakat of Fajr Salah on the day of Jumu'ah. And that's why we see in many masajid they do it. They try and read it a bit of a more rapid pace because these are longer surahs as compared to what we normally recite in the Fajr Salah. In some places, perhaps they read one of the two surahs. It's better to read both, but if you can't for whatever reason, it's not compulsory. At least read one of the two across the two rakats. It's not necessary for it to be done every single Friday. Otherwise, then you take it to the point where you're almost perceiving it to be wajib. But it should be done regularly. This is the qira'ah that should be recited in the Fajr Salah on a regular basis. May Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala grant us the tawfiq.
This is Sabahul Muslim.